Okay, we're on again. We're just gonna go with this for now. Portrait mode. Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this in the future on YouTube or wherever, archived here on Facebook. Yeah. Thank you, Facebook, for changing all of your settings. Yeah, give us a like. I don't actually. This is a thumbs down thing. So why do they change things that work perfectly? Actually, I do know. We were just having this conversation earlier. They'll change these little functions, little things, how things work, to keep you stuck on the side longer. Convinced. That's my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat thing for the day. But it's probably not wrong, because all of these social media sites are all about engagement. The longer you can spend on the site, the more advertising revenue they can get, or the more they can suck the details out of your brain, out of your life, out of your head, so they know what to sell you. It's all about selling, which is why I'm here. I'm here to sell stuff. Don't get me wrong. You know, I like to talk about all kinds of crap, but ultimately, I guess we're part of the problem instead of part of the solution. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us at the SilviaFindings live stream. My name is Mark. I'll be your live stream presenter today. We're continuing on with more bales. And apologies, this is starting so late, but we were having lots of technical issues. There's a thumbs up. I can see that going up the screen. Oh boy. Gary, hi Gary. Good to see you watching the thing. Yeah, so I don't know why they switched it so that you can't do this live, landscape anymore. Or there's probably a button somewhere that they changed, that they moved somewhere. That we'll find out somehow, but of course we never think to turn these things on or to try them until like the moment before we're meant to go live. So, right, this is we're such amateurs. So right, I guess same them on same as always. If you share the video, we'll send you one of these little polishing cloths. Although, if I'm being honest, why would you share this? Why? How many people do you know personally that have an interest in this kind of stuff besides you? I mean, I think that if you're actually probably watching this, and if you're not watching this right now, you're watching it later on YouTube, because it's weird, as very niche as this topics kind of are, we get quite a few views on those YouTube videos, or I guess more than I would have assumed we would get, but I guess I sell myself short, my star qualities. Just kidding. Let me see. I'm not going to go into anything kind of preamble. I know I like to talk trash about the latest Canada Post debacle, but there's actually a good thing. A good thing about Canada Post. We had a parcel that was shipped to a customer in Calgary. I assume it was an apartment building because they had an apartment number or a suite number. It got to the building, was delivered, showed up in the tracking as, delivered. Customer, a couple days later, contacted me and said, hey, I never got my parcel. I said, well, Canada Post says they delivered it, so I don't know what you're going to do. I guess we can try, so we started the whole, investigation process and made a claim, filed a claim with them, and they said, yeah, we can't, okay, I guess if you say we didn't get it, you didn't get it, so, and they paid. To be fair, we're still waiting for the check, but yeah, they just paid it. Yeah, crazy. My understanding was, and I know this is true of U.S. Postal Service, if they deliver it to an apartment building or apartment block or your porch and it gets stolen, it's not on them. That's like, contact your homeowner's insurance or something, because, they marked it as delivered. It's delivered. I guess Canada Post are a little more understanding about that thing. So I'm going to take back probably 20% of all the bad things I've ever said about them, but only 20%. They don't really deserve much more than that. Anyway, moving along, we're going to continue with some bales today. Most of the bales I'm going to show you today are the kind that are glue-on. Not really glue-on, because we have glue-on bales that are going to come next week that you're actually going to be physically gluing onto your stones. These are glue-on. They have a post, like a cup and peg, like a glue-on, like pearl kind of thing. Yeah, I think almost all but one. There's only one that doesn't have that configuration where you're going to be gluing it to another. So all of these things will use glue. You know, I always talk about glue. The kind of glues I prefer using are a good 2-part epoxy that dries clear. I have had luck gluing stones with, I didn't have any of like the adhesive kind of epoxy, so but I did have some epoxy resin that I used to make some resin projects, and that worked. Man, that worked so good. It's such a good adhesive, and you know, it dries clear and it's easy to mix up one by one. So if you don't have any good glues, adhesives that are specifically made for that, you can use that 2-part epoxy resin. You know, they dries super hard, super, not crunchy hard like a cyanoacrylate, right, like a super glue would, but and not like really gooey like a E6000 or those kind of glues. I'm not sure what those kind of glues are. They're more rubbery when they're dried. You know the kind I mean. It's kind of in between those. It's nice and hard, but not super crunchy, if that makes sense. And they work great, and it looks great. Anywhere that you otherwise would be able to see the glue, like on some parts of the back where the back was open and the stones that I glued into these things, it was a part of the back that was open, you just see a little pool of epoxy resin. It looks beautiful. So also doable in a pinch if you don't have the kind of pearl cement, what they call pearl cement, or I always recommend a good 2-part epoxy glue, epoxy adhesive, the kind that dries clear. You can get those kind of ones like Bondo, I think is a pretty common brand name. Bondo is really super good and super strong, but it dries kind of gray and ugly, and if any of it is visible after, it's kind of gross. But if it's going to be invisible, boy, Bondo is my go-to. I've always loved that. Anyway, neither here nor there. Let's get on to the bales. Let me just switch this camera around. See, this is going to be, let me move this. Everything is going landscape mode this week. I can't get this any lower. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're such amateurs. Oh my God. Why can't I make this work? Oh. Yeah, I'm having issues. Nelson's in the corner laughing at me. Okay, yes. Let me do this. That'll hold that there. Okay. It's like dead air almost. Okay, our first, here's the lovely little cap. Can you see that? Lovely filigree cap with that cup and peg. And that's a pretty good size one. You could probably put a stone or a sphere or something that's a good 10, 12 millimeters into that. Nice big dome. MTP 688 with a retail price of $537 and a wholesale price of $358. And this just has a loop at the top. There's no separate bail on that, so you could string that however you like or add a bail. Here's another of that ilk. Another cute little cap, filigree-ish. No, this is a little more Bali inspired, right? With that granulation up at the top and the dots and the sort of semi-open petal weave. Now, the nice thing about this kind of a cap is that, you know, depending on the size of the stone, you could pull the petals up or down and form them around the stone. So you have a nice, you know, set of options. Probably something as small as like an 8 millimeter, maybe smaller would be tricky, but, you know, 8 millimeter up to, you know, 12 or so. So a pretty good range of sizes will fit in that. MTP 669 with a retail price of $524 and a wholesale price of $325. Now we have LJ 838 with a retail price of $394 and a wholesale price of $263. This is another cap that's very similar to these. Just a plain cap with a loop. Well, it's not really a plain cap. It's a nice sort of floral inspired cap with that open weave and that cup and peg. So you're looking at spheres or pearls or whatever, something as small as probably 6 millimeter, you can get that to fold over all the way up to, God, pretty much as big as you like. Because the petals are pretty malleable in the sterling. Here's another scalloped cap. This is a solid one. So probably wouldn't be able to bend these over a stone. It's got that simple cup and peg. This one's kind of tarnished on the inside because it's been sitting in there for years. BCM 200 with a retail price of $768 and a wholesale price of $572. Again, just that regular loop at the top. There's no bail, no separate bail. Right, nice big scallop cap, probably for 10 or 12 millimeters. You think? Here's one. I should have saved this for last. Oh, no, I know which one I'm going to save for last. MTP 688 with a retail price of $32.31 and a wholesale price of $16.22. This is a cap with a lovely, kind of standard triangular bail with a lovely cap, cone cap with a bunch of cubic zirconias in there. What's that color I'm seeing? That's in the weird. That's in the camera. That's not on the piece. Anyway, it's got a cup and peg. I think the peg is broken off this design sample, but let me pull one out of stock, out of the bag, so you can see. Not good. We need to get this landscape thing figured out for next week. Right, so it's got a cup and peg in there, and it's nice and shiny and silver. Boy, I probably should have switched the design one out. This is what happens with these samples that have been sitting on the design board for ages. They end up looking, because we polish them, so the highlights are all nice and shiny, but the little nooks and crannies, so it's almost like they're antiqued. Inadvertently antiqued items on the display. MTP 194 with a retail price of $758 and a wholesale price of $462. This is just a regular cap, round cap with that sort of I don't know what that is, kind of like a spiral pattern, alternating cubic zirconias and not. With a cup and a peg, it's pretty flat-ish, so you could get something as small as 6 or 8 millimeters in there, all the way up to 12 or so. Either will work. Here's another one, lovely plain old bail, connected right to the cap, so there's not a lot of movement on this thing. Just a regular standard cup and peg, probably for something as small as like a 6 or 8 millimeter pearl or stone. That's LJ 934 with a retail price of $905 and a wholesale price of $603. Here is a spiritual cousin of that. This does not have a peg in it. And it's not because the peg is broken. It just doesn't have a peg. It's meant to be glued onto something. So you can glue that onto a pearl or a stone or a sphere, probably 10 millimeters or so, right? Just a regular cup with a loop on the top. I suppose that depending on what you're gluing in there, you could glue I don't know, so maybe the ends of a multi-strand, necklace or something in there. CE 110 with a retail price of $476. No, $4.75, and a retail wholesale price of $2.96. I'm still flustered by the whole beginning debacle, and we had to restart this live stream like 4 times. And it's still not right. MT 723 with a retail price of $14.39 and a wholesale price of $8.63. And this is just a lovely classic pendant with that, I don't know, what would you call that? Sort of reminiscent of flames or something. Petals, maybe ostrich feathers kind of thing. I don't know. It's very evocative of the bale. Nice big wide bale. Oh, and this is, it opens. Maybe I should get one out of stock so you can see how that works. I was not aware of that. I guess I never really noticed that detail on this before, but this has right, one little hinge that opens up. So you can use this as a necklace enhancer. You can see that, right? And that stabs closed. Doink. Very cool. Well, that's easy. I never noticed that before. Huh, you learn something new every day. And this has got the cup and peg. There's the peg there. Oops. I don't know if you can see that peg down inside there. And that lovely cap. Golly, that's a good one. I'm kind of impressed with that. Our next item. And every time I see this, I don't know why, it looks Dr. Seussian to me. Is this also a snap? I think this also has a snap open. Anyway, it's a cone, sort of a, layer cake sort of end cap with rows of cubic zirconias and a row of cubic zirconia up and down the front, and the cup and peg. You can get, I mean, you can put pretty much anything in there depending on the size of your pearl or stone. Let me just see this. Pretty sure this is not. So this is not one of those that snap open or close. It just looked a little bit like that from the back of it. You can't see. But still gorgeous. Still. LJ 935 with a retail price of 75 cents and a wholesale price of 49 cents. This is just a cute little scalloped cap with a little loop and a cup and peg bottom for gluing in. And of course, this, right, they're bright silver. This sample on the display board is a little bit tarnished. I tried to clean them this morning, but you can really tell the difference between the production ones and the ones that are sitting on this thing here. Just a little more tarnish. LJ 936 with a retail price of 85 cents and a wholesale price of 66 cents. And this is a kind of a plain cap, just a little cute little plain, probably 4mm cap. So you can get anything as small as probably a 4mm pearl up to about a 6 or 8mm at the most. It'll end up just being a little cap glued to the top with that little cup and peg and a loop. Here's another almost identical one, only this is scalloped again. Almost Bali inspired, right? With a granulation on the top of the cap. A cute little cup and peg. Do I need to pull one out so you can see better? I think so. This one is actually meant to be antiqued. I don't know if you could see that. This, trying to hold my set together, right? So it's a cute little cup and peg. Boing. Here's the one that's not like the others. It's a little incongruous in this tray, but we'll go with it. It's LJ 833 with a retail price of $6.47 and a wholesale price of $3.89. You know what? I don't think I gave you the price of this. LJ 837, that little Bali inspired cap. Right? LJ 837, retail price of $264, wholesale price of $178. I lost my stride here because of this Facebook issue. LJ 833 with a retail price of $647 and a wholesale price of $389. This is another tube setting, and this is upside down, of course, right? Now, normally the way this would present itself would be this way, and you'd string your cord or chain or whatever through that big tube and dangle whatever you want from that loop, but it always hangs upside down on this little display card. Here's one that's kind of halfway in between the one we just had and all the others. It's still that same cup and peg, piece that's dangling from the bottom of a lovely curved tube, pierced tube with all those lovely vines, I guess, kind of design patterns in that. Nice big opening, probably 4 millimeters for a nice thick chain, or I don't know. I always feel like for these kind of things, chain doesn't really work as good as something like a, I don't know, satin cord, maybe a leather cord or something. Oh, leather cord. This might be a little too grand for a leather cord. LJ 278 with a retail price of $14.46 and a wholesale price of $9.04. And this is probably the most plain bail that we have of this type. It's just a great big loop with a cup and peg, or with a peg, not even a cup and peg, just a great big loop with a peg. LJ 686 with a retail price of $1.50 and a wholesale price of $1.16. And, just for all of you smart Alex out there who are, metalsmithing gurus who are saying, yeah, dude, I can just make that. And, the price of the material is going to cost me less than $1.50. And, yes, you're probably correct. But first, you got to make the loop and that little piece of wire. Then you've got to file it so that it fits together perfectly. Then you've got to solder it so that it's soldered together. Then you have to pickle it, and then you have to clean it. And these are rhodium plated, so they aren't going to tarnish. So if you were to send them out to be rhodium plated, it would cost you way more than $1.50 each to get them plated. So it's a convenience thing, right? Yeah, you probably could make this. And yeah, the raw materials would be less than $1.50, but, God, your labor is worth something, right? I don't even know why I feel like I have to justify that. LJ 948 with a retail price of $12.69 and a wholesale price of $7.93. Now this I did want to show you because this is a snap open, right? It's almost a necklace enhancer kind of thing. Here's a little tab here that pulls open, doink. That opens up. You can, connect it to whatever you're connecting it to, and then pinching that closed again, doink. That just snaps closed. Doesn't make that doink sound. That's my sound. That's with a regular old cup and peg down on the bottom. Right? Nice big long peg. You can cut down to whatever size you need. Cannot go wrong with a nice big lovely wide bail like that. Right, nice big open space necklace enhancer. That's LJ 948. Right, can you focus on that? $12.69 is the retail price, and $7.93 is the wholesale price. Our next item, this is like where we're getting into the super plain ones, and by plain I just mean not crazy elaborate ones. Well, there's one at the end that that I'm saving for the end that I just love. LJ 951 with a retail price of $4.29 and a wholesale price of $2.86. This is actually the back, right? Because you don't need to see the hallmark or the maker's mark from the front. I guess you could, if you want to. But it's a regular old triangular teardrop bail with a loop. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. I sneezed live on air. That's got to be bad luck. This whole day has been bad luck. Here's a spiritual cousin to the one I just showed you, LJ 682 with a retail price of $1.79 and a wholesale price of $1.13. Right? Still that same bale, a little cup and peg. It has a little twisted peg on there. Now, obviously, you don't need them to be quite that long usually, so you can cut those down to whatever size you need them to be. Next, almost identical, only the bale is a little bit slimmer, more rounded, more delicate, I guess. LJ950 with a retail price of $3.25 and a wholesale price of $1.95 each. Super little cup and peg. Just look at that tiny little cup. It's so cute. That's the kind of thing where you have to be careful of how big the hole in your sphere or pearl is. Although normally they're when they drill holes in pearls, you know, it's rare that it's bigger than like 24 gauge, maybe 22, maybe 22 will fit sometimes. LJ916 with a retail price of $5.20 and a wholesale price of $3.12. And this is like the sort of the de facto, I don't know, like the most common-ish thing. The most basic version of this kind of thing, with the bale at the top, the cup and peg on the bottom, lovely smooth cap, probably a 4mm cap on there, and that little peg that you glue in there. Super cute. And here we have LJ679 with a retail price of $15.15 and a wholesale price of $9.98. Nice big tube, round tube. It doesn't open, it's just a regular old tube. Bedecked with a bunch of cubic zirconias. And the little cup and peg dangling from the bottom. Right? Little scalloped cap. And that cup and peg setting. So that's a really super wide tube too. So you can put pretty much whatever you want through there. Nice big chains or satin cord or leather cord or whatever, you name it. And now the last item that I want to show you today is this. I just love this one. It's just so evocative. MTP 685 with a retail price of $18.90 and a wholesale price of $11.82. And it's got that nice big loop. That's got to be leather cord that goes through there. I mean, I'm sorry. Just look at this kind of dragon claw. Yeah, that you could probably pull these dragon claws open, although not too much because of the, you know, they're hollow on the inside. So you might be able to flex them open a bit, but not by much. But if you had like a, I don't know, like an 8mm or 10mm stone or pearl to put in there, that would fit in there. The claws would extend down almost all the way around the stone or the pearl. And God, I just think that's so cool. Right? I guess depends on your sensibilities, but I just love these kind of, you know, everyone, you know, dainty and blingy and stuff is very cool, but every once in a while there's something just awesome about these crazy designs. And that's it. That's it for today. I'm not doing another tray. I'm just doing one tray from now on, because, you know, we're not in a rush. We're not in a hurry. And people don't watch videos that are like an hour long. They just won't. Although why people are watching videos that are 45 minutes long like this, I guess this is only going to be like probably 30 minutes or so, because we had that whole craziness at the beginning with the getting the Facebook Live to work. And even then, we didn't get it to work the way we wanted it to, sideways. So we'll get it right by next week. We'll figure it out sooner or later. So in the meantime, we'll finish up bales in the next couple of weeks. I think I've only got about 10, about 10 trays left to do. So I guess not really a couple of weeks, more like a couple of months. But again, we're not in a hurry to do these. Slowly and surely wins the race, as they say. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you now. I guess I didn't really talk about custom stuff or anything. I'm just a little bit all discombobulated this morning from the late start and the technical issues at the beginning. But I'll really go into it a lot more next week. So in the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health. Keep making stuff, keep creating, keep those creative juices flowing. Yeah. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye. But I can press this button. You see, I still can't press this button. This finish button is not working. Last 3 minutes of the... see?